very short off season in soccer, but how do you feel? I mean, is that retribution from the early exit driving you, or is it totally different and put in the past?
No, it's definitely there. I mean, look, it's always good to be back. The boys are excited, the fans are getting excited, the owners, the club, the front office. So it's always good to be back. We call this the honeymoon phase, where everybody's happy, and no matter what happens, everybody's getting the minutes and everything. But yeah, look, we need to be on a mission this year. Like you mentioned, going out in the first round in the penalties was tough. We had a great team. We were set up there, and it didn't go our way, and that's football. So we'll have extra motivation. Everybody coming back has bad taste in their mouths, but also we got a new staff, we got new players, we got a little bit of new identity on some things. So part of this right now is evaluations, figuring out who we are. Our principles won't change. Who we want to be and entertain our supporters and play for them will never change. But learning some new players, learning some new staff, and it's been great so far. Energy's top. We'll have some conflict here coming up soon, which is great to figure out who we are a little bit, and then we just keep pushing on and get better.
Speaking of the roster changes, can you talk about, I think Ben said around 9 returners, can you talk about them and kind of what was the thought process?
Yeah, I mean, look, we knew going into last season, it was a big year. We had a lot of high level players that have been around the club. In cycles in football, that third year is a peak, and spent a little bit more money and brought in some bigger name players. And so we knew there was going to be a little bit of I don't want to call it a transition, but a little bit of some turnover. So, we've got massive leaders back in this team, massive all-league players, some new signings. So we're excited about the group that's back. We're really excited about the players that we're adding. We got a couple more signings we need to do, of course, but really good people that have returned. A lot of good experiences, a lot of good energy, and I think what that creates is a togetherness where, like we said, a little bit of bad taste in our mouth from last year. They want to push and make things right and just have a good day every single day for the next 10 months.
Just from those players that you guys signed, the players that left, we lost, really talented players. How are the new players filling in those gaps and also kind of bringing in their own flair?
Yeah, it's a combination of finding the right profile in through our recruitment process of making sure we have the right player here. You lose a striker, we need to, have a certain type of player. If a left back, certain types of things, right? So, with that, we also in our recruitment process want to make sure we're always looking at high energy people, high character people that really represent this club and the black and yellow and our supporters with tremendous integrity. So that's the thought process behind it. We got a great group of owners, great chairman and president. So the leadership from the top down is tremendous. And then with the new staff, we've worked our socks off, and they've done a great job of really making sure we're getting the right people in. So a little bit of ways to go. That's part of the nature. We're only 5 days in or so total, but we just got to keep getting better, keep making sure we make sure we are who we want to be, if that makes sense.
And being only 5 days in, I'm sure you don't have too much to say on this, but in 9 aside and sometimes 11 aside, what have you seen tactically with new combinations, different players, and all that?
Yeah, I think we're still figuring out. We've had a lot of split groups. We got some good trialists in, some good training players, some younger guys that we want to potentially get through on some academy contracts. So we don't. There's not a huge evaluation, like you said. We are a team, you could tell already, that wants the ball, that wants to build it. Our transitions have been good, but again, we're 5 days in. If the energy's not good, then that's a problem. But I think what we'll be a little bit more diverse in our attack this year. Maybe we can counter a little bit, like Wilmer Cabrera and Malik are excellent in those phases. We have players that are getting settled in midfield, Nanan Husu. Have we announced Laurent?
No.
Sorry. Emilia Caza will announce Laurent Kisiedo, a good midfielder to add into that group. So it's getting those connections going. We announced Suber. We have five returning defenders. So we have that group will be very good. Both goalkeepers are back. So we'll have a great foundation. The back line, the defensive group will be good. We just want to make sure intensity's high. Those moments of transition are high. And I think we'll be a little bit different the way we're able to attack. I think teams, if they sit in against us, we can find different ways to beat them hopefully this year.
this league is such a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
It's such a long season. Does that affect the way you kind of like, look, we don't have to win the championship tomorrow sort of thing? Like, do you have to kind of explain it to these guys?
Yeah, it's like you were in our team talk on day one. You know, I said we ain't going to win or lose the USL Cup on our first 7v7 game, you know, our first 9v9, our first 11v11. So we pace things out. We have a really good staff. Pete Calabresi's come in and done a really good job in kind of the medical performance department. He's done a really good job pushing us, and Ian and Rob Seaton have done a great job pushing our guys tactically. So it's a process. We have to get better every day in January and February and March, obviously, before we kick off on the 7th. But we got to get better in September and October and into November. So you hit the nail on the head. It's a long season. That's why it's so important that guys stay available, guys stay positive with their energy, and we're just always looking in the mirror to get better.
You went all the way across the parking lot to get an assistant coach. Is that a sort of thing where you kind of knew each other and he just wanted to get into the pro game? Or like, how does that work? I mean, obviously it's
Yeah.
quite convenient.
No, it's interesting because both Ian, Cameron, and Rob Seaton, the two on-field assistants that we've hired, I had really good relationships with. Ian, we've played against for the last 3 years. You know, we've shared ideas. We've mentored each other in certain ways. And he's a top coach, and we're really fortunate to have someone with his pedigree. Rob kind of reminds me of myself back in 2018, 2019, like really high-level young coach in the college game. And he's been around the professional game, seeing it from the outside in. We've gotten to know each other over the last few years. He's tremendous, works his socks off. You know, I imagine he'll be doing a lot of big things in this country with his abilities and his talent level. So, you know, I mentioned Pete as well, and Robbie and Brian coming back on staff. So it's a good group. The one thing I could say about our staff is they're selfless, they're hungry, they want to win, and that's a recipe for hopefully success. So our players have got a growth mindset, our coaches will push them, and I think that's a good recipe for constant improvements.
What's one word you would use to describe this group? I know it's early, but can you give me a word or a phrase you think describes this group this year?
TBD. No, I'll say hungry right now. That's easy to say, right, in January, February. Let's make sure we're hungry in the summer when it's, you know, we have a bad loss or it's hot. Let's make sure a guy gets dropped or, you know, an injury happens or those types of things happen. But right now they're hungry. But I will go back to TBD uncertainty. You know, we're still early. A lot of football. Right now we're just gearing up every day to improve. And when March 7th gets here, we want to put our best foot on that field for our supporters.
Last thing for me, we're going into a bunch of preseason matches starting this Saturday. Can you talk a little bit about what your goal is for these preseason matches, whether it's, you know, winning the games, getting everyone's fitness up, trying out different formations, combinations? What's your goal?
Yeah, right now we have a game this weekend with the weather and stuff. It'll probably get moved to Friday. A high-level opponent. Have we announced our schedule? No problem.
We were out here.
So no problem. So we have a good game this weekend. For us, it's a really, really intense training activity. Yeah, we want to win. We want to play well. We want to score goals. But we got to figure out who we are, right? So we ask about what's the word to describe us. It might be different come this weekend. So we use these first few weeks as massive training exercises. You don't want to lose. You don't want to play poorly. But in the end of the day, we'll sacrifice things in preseason to make sure we're figuring out who we are. So I'm excited. You know, we're wearing the yellow jerseys. You wear a yellow jersey, you want to go kick somebody else. They want to kick us, you know. So that'll be good to start those evaluations and developments for sure.
Is that about the
Yeah.
I guess one for you. This is your fourth preseason here. Has it felt any similar or different than the previous three since you arrived here first?
Yeah, every year's been different. Obviously, the first year, new team, everything's going crazy. Second year, we were surprised with like some sales, right, of players, Dodson and Fidel and Trey and these guys. You're almost like, oh, crap, we got to regroup a little bit. You know, last year we knew the team, we knew the squad, and it was like, hey, let's roll the ball out and get after it. This year's got a combination of probably all of it, right? There's some uncertainty, there's some transitions, but the identity within 2-3 sessions is already kind of there with the group. So there's massive amounts of improvements we need, but yeah, it's a little bit different, especially probably with the staff. But again, it's 11v11. There's 22 guys. There's one soccer balls. Let's get out there and keep getting better.